Most people in life are looking for how do I make a life worth living and a retirement worth having. I'm often saying this because in my case, my retirement is no longer mine. I produced a life for a family of three. We worked roughly 20 to 25 hours a week, some weeks, and more others, but mainly we produced a life. We had Fridays as family day because it was important for me to have time with my spouse and my son who was maturing into manhood. I wanted him to know that my love for his mom was righteous and that openly he could trust in me for things he needed. We would often go to movies that came out and played, and we would often go shopping so he could look at clothing that he could purchase when he had earned enough in his home duties, etc. In life, we have to produce opportunities for our children to earn income at home. He helped sometimes in my program, so I transferred some of the wealth that I earned or the revenue that I gained to him for his help. That's what volunteers in a program do. They get gifted things. With my spouse, I gave her a lot of opportunities to go to eat, and we could write those off legitimately because it was truthfully her thank you for her volunteer work. It wasn't necessary for me to pay my own spouse to help in our program. That's not how our program worked. It wasn't functioning at a high level because we had a private classroom where people were screened carefully, their families were looked at and reviewed. Can they really afford us? And would they be likely to stay on for the long term? If we found, and we only found this one time in our entire existence as a program, that a child was not suitable for our program, you see, we did a good phone screening. The phone screening then allowed for an evaluation. If we ever felt that the phone screening was not real, we would find a way to politely decline their interest. We had sometimes, occasionally, one or two people from foreign lands trying to gather information. We didn't take them terribly seriously because they never completed what we requested to do their reviews and their evaluations. We did not receive payment from them, and openly, if ever there was a time that something like that happened, every single policy was clearly stated on the website saying that openly if someone sent money for the evaluation and they did not hear from us, they should call us immediately. We always made the scheduling almost immediately. Once the money had processed, which took 2 to 4 days, we told people we would process and schedule the evaluation for a week or two later. This allowed us to meet parents, meet the children if it was a person underage, and openly do it in a protected space for both parties. There was always that occasional man who wanted to meet a Japanese woman or something like that and procure her for his little idea of what the old ways were long ago in American history of military men going to Japan and coming home with Japanese brides. We weren't that sort of program, and frankly, it was sort of appalling to me. Openly, when I fell in love, and that's all there was to it. Some of my family members regarded that, respected that, and allowed that. Others, maybe more than half, did not really, but they tolerated my love of someone important in my life. That's the way birth family are. I tolerated their spouses, and that's the way it was. They didn't really pick with the Lord's help, and that's their problem. This time around, I'm allowing God solely to select who's right for me. I know there's been 2 women since my spouse who I've loved deeply in my soul. I've loved them for who they are. I've loved them for their intelligence. I've loved them for their mind of spirit. I love them for their humor. I love them for their wit and their wisdom. And openly, I love them for their soul. And that's the truth. One of them did something somewhat unlawful to me based on her own immaturity in her own relationships, and I will hope that God will teach her lessons going forward about not to do that with men if she's already married. In the other case, it wasn't the right timing for either of us. I was not prepared for that relationship fully as much as I longed for it, and she was not ready and mature enough to be ready for God's plan for our life together. Now, as I talk about this, I'm talking about opinion. I'm talking about what I have learned in my spiritual growth and my own professing the Lord's name as my number one Lord and Savior. I don't do anything other than submit what my worries are to Him every single day. I simply say, Lord, where are we going today? And it's been a lovely adventure. I loved it more when I had an automobile, and when it was impounded unlawfully, I was very upset. Because even though someone had been monstrously ruining that car that was paid for twice, really, that openly it gave me transportation, it gave me a place out of the rain, it gave me something to sleep in when I was tired or had to have a nap as an old person, and it gave me a chance to store things and go places and sell things to produce a new life. After many losses, after cyber hacking, after telephone taxing, after all the other things that had problematically come to me because some monster somewhere thought they had the lawful right to violate my home, steal my property, take my tax records, violate my medical records, and destroy my right to privacy in every aspect of my mental health. I never had any mental health issues until someone thought they'd just screw me over. And then all of a sudden it became a big deal. My siblings went out of their way to try and ruin me with mental health processes, and openly with judges and other people of the religious right who just thought they had rights to monkey in my life. Now, when I talk about this is not opinion. This is an actual physical experience of enduring other people monkeying in my life, forcing me into medications that totally destroyed my body. And openly, I'm ill now because someone thought they'd monkey with my maintenance of my own hormonal health. I don't have to describe anything else. That's the absolute little truth. I am getting severe migraines in the middle of the night, and openly sometimes during the day where I have to sit down. It is literally a pain like someone is gouging a needle into the veins of my head. That is what I was experiencing long ago. That is what I completely eradicated with the help of proper physicians of all types, till we got to the point of what I really needed to be, what I really was, and openly what challenges I would have going forward in life. Maybe that's why my first spouse was a degreed nurse from a foreign land. She understood this clearly. She read everything she needed to read about the condition. She got it completely in her soul, and that was that. End of story. Now, when I share this message, I'm saying to the people who are doing this and are listening and voyeuring into my life, screw off. I don't come into your home and take your belongings. I don't come into your bedroom and screw your spouse. And I don't literally come into your finances and take money from you, get into your car with my car keys of your household, and do things to you. But someone practically did that to me. So unlawful, so illegal, so monstrous that some police officer somewhere ought to be smart enough to figure out who it was, or at least interrogate, investigate, and interview the people in maintenance and staff on their attitudes, not about me or my life or what they thought of me, but about what did they actually physically do in my home. My rental unit that I was paying for at $1,000 or more a month. That's the truth. In Carmel, I paid up to $1,500 a month for my rental in a townhouse. That meant I was making a decent living. I paid the utilities on top of that, and everything that dealt with a cell phone back then, which was not cheap. Cell phone bills could be a couple $100s. Now, I'm talking about real life. I'm talking about real things. I'm talking about real relationships. I'm talking about real-time love. And openly, I'm talking about soulful talk. That people must understand the difficulties of old age now. That there is no turning back once the clock is there, that there's no way out of having to still produce food for yourself, shelter for yourself, loving relationships for yourself, fellowship for yourself, faith in a spiritual community for yourself, and openly people that will tend to you if your life gets to the point where you can't literally tend to yourself. In my father's case, the only person he wanted to see every single day, after a certain period of moments of time of my mother sticking around, getting her breakfast, and doing her slow motion work in the morning, was my mother. He loved her till the very end. I'm pretty sure his last breathful word might have been Dorothy, which was her name. I feel that way about the women I have loved. I have mentioned that I've only had a few loves, and I still feel that way, even about the ones that have hurt me. That I openly, gently, in my soul, cannot stop the love that the Lord puts in my heart for them. Even though several have moved on with other people, and I can't say several because as a child we grow up loving different type of girlfriends, and that's the truth. I can name every single one since kindergarten, and probably preschool if I really tried. But the truth is, that's not the point, that these girls liked me for me, enjoyed my soul, and understood who I was every single time. And it certainly wasn't the first time to be kissed in college. I had been kissed by girls most of my entire growing up years in the world. I think the first came maybe in kindergarten, and another came in second grade, and that's the way it went. I definitely was holding hands with girls by the time I was in third or fourth grade. So there's no problem there for them seeing the boy that I was, the man that I've become, and openly the religious right can go to hell if they think they know my life. People in the world have no right to interfere in other people's health care. That is something that we have to put in place very clearly, that HIPAA law is not working. It's not protecting people from those who go home with pillow talk about who they saw today, what they literally did, what type of cases they had, and we all know it. It has to be clear across the board that no human being has the right to look at someone's medical records without the written express consent of the patient. This continuity of care crap is a lie. It doesn't provide the patient any safety or privacy at all. And our number one focus in the land today should be privacy, should be safety of our computers, should be opportunities in our social networks that are not controlled by any company or any individual technological engineer who knows how to lock people out, destroy their files, delete their photos, and all these things that I have experienced over the last 5 years of my life. I did nothing wrong to anyone, yet someone has gone out of their way to utterly destroy my life online and off. My old videos are being edited. By who? I've not given anyone intellectual property rights to my life. Who's doing that? If Google's doing that, they should be sold and literally shut down. We don't have the right to say no to people anymore. It's not true. We have to know that we're saying no to people. I didn't produce all those videos to have some monster going in and editing them behind me nowadays. There's an evolution of a person's life that are visible in video, and that is important to people's posterior life. Our photos that we put online through our camera phones and everything else are also our copywritten work, not someone else's to take, to sell, to utilize, or to monstrously destroy and delete like they did to me in a Twitter account. All hundreds of photos I had uploaded there went missing. My phone went missing, so my backups to them are completely gone. That Twitter account could have saved me a lot. Now, when I talk like this, I'm talking about real life. I'm talking about real social structures that we utilize today. What's most important is people getting back to the point of meeting and greeting one another in real situations, locally as well as in their state and across the land. There has to be opportunities, social networks, and groups where people can mix and mingle on topics and hobbies of interest and literally get better acquainted, and in some cases, get reacquainted. I'm in love with a girl. You might be in love with somebody else. So what? I have the right to literally propose marriage, invite someone to participate in the rest of my life in business or in personal relationships or in intimacy, and that is my lawful right as an American citizen. And while there's monsters out there who might like to propose that I don't deserve that right, I would literally say then the same goes for you. I'd like to come into your bedroom, steal all your intimate objects, take away your underpants, and do all the things to you that have been done to me so that you know how it feels to be me. Until you know how it feels to be me, you are not me. And that's the truth. Homelessness is not easy, but it's manageable with an intelligent mind and a total gift from the Lord. I literally have no more money in my pocket, yet as I'm walking, the Lord has someone stop me on the street, literally get out of her car, chase me down the sidewalk, and gift me a food card. That's God in this land. Absolutely, 100% a loving soul. Told me that she'd rather be an atheist than a Christian, which is a sad thing, but I get the sentiment. Because Christians do a lot of ugly things in the Lord's name. And that's not right. We are supposed to be the loving spirit of Jesus Christ in our everyday life. And it's been fascinating to watch this marketing study I've been doing on automobiles and the people in them in the way that they want to be in control, or whether they give it up, or whether they just are openly happy, go lucky, loving, peaceful, other honoring people. I've had some lovely experiences on this traveling journey, meeting some incredibly attractive, spiritually sound women. But the one that I love most, the one that makes my heart beat, the one that makes my little pee-pee stand up is only one person. And that's how I know this was God's gift to me. You see, if I talk really about what it feels to be a man in love with someone in my physical condition, that's never literally happened spontaneously before for me, is not truthful, but openly I'm going to offend some people. But when you want to know whether God has picked someone for you, it's all in the matter of a first kiss, how it feels, how it tastes, and whether or not you're willing to keep going until it's a perfect match. And sometimes we have to practice a little. Sometimes we're out of practice. And I don't mean that unusually, because the truth is, I've not loved anyone since my spouse left. And I mean that. I mean, I've saved myself for one person and one person alone. That one kiss. That's what I'm waiting for. Maybe that makes me an old-fashioned man. Maybe that makes me a fuddy-duddy. I don't really give a shit. The woman I love is worth millions of dollars to me. She is a fortune in my life, and she is priceless in the Lord's heart for me. That's it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Now, if you like these audio casts, then like them. If you don't like them, then email me on LinkedIn. Tell me why you don't like them. Tell me what you think I should change in production values, and let me know. That's how we do things in this world. Thank you so very much for literally taking a little bit of time out of your day to listen to a man's story talking about love, life, liberty, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness and the love of the Lord Jesus Christ and all the saints in all the land across the spiritual realm. Thanks for listening.